Hey entrepreneurs, welcome to Digital Gigger.
There are a number of ways of successfully balancing a full-time job and a side hustle without feeling burnt out. One way is to establish specific goals for each activity and make sure that each one has a corresponding time commitment. Make sure to set boundaries on how much work you'll allow yourself to do each day, week, and month. The majority of people do not have the luxury of leaving their full-time jobs in order to pursue their entrepreneurial ambitions. To pay their bills and maintain their income, they are compelled to balance full-time work with developing their side hustle business. It should come at no surprise that juggling a full-time job with another business frequently causes anxiety, stress, and eventually burnout. If you can relate to this all too well, here are some suggestions to help you successfully balance work and a side hustle business. Deliberately devise your schedule according to priorities. If you're like most people, you have a full-time job and a side hustle. Juggling the two can be difficult, but it's important to make sure your side hustle doesn't take over your life. The best way to do this is to deliberately devise your schedule according to priorities. First, figure out what your priorities are. What's more important to you, your job or your side hustle? Once you've determined this, you can start devising a schedule that works for both of them. If your job is more important, then you'll need to make sure your side hustle doesn't interfere with it. This might mean setting specific days or hours aside for your side hustle, or limiting how much time you spend on it. According to a recent study, the number of American workers who have side hustles continues to grow. And while there are plenty of benefits to having a side hustle, it can be tricky to balance the demands of both jobs. Here are a few tips to manage your time and avoid overlap between your jobs. Create a schedule for yourself and stick with it. When you're working a full-time job, it's important to set aside specific times for your side hustle. This will help you ensure that you're not overworking yourself and that your full-time job doesn't suffer as a result. Communicate with your boss. Let them know what your hours are and when you'll be available for work. With a lot of us working from home nowadays, that balance has to be fine and tuned to make sure that you can get your work for your full-time job completed and also have time to work on your side hustle. Now, don't do the two at the same time because you are stealing time from your employer. And if you're caught doing that, you will lose your full-time job. And if that's your main source of income, you don't want to play around with losing your main source of income. So make sure that you're doing your side hustle on your spare time after your work hours or the hours that you've devoted to your full-time job. Maintain strict separation between your primary employment and your side business. Use separate email addresses, create separate accounts for any common tools, and avoid being discovered using work equipment for personal use. In some circumstances, having a different laptop for work or at the absolute least a different user profile can even be advantageous. It's likely that if you're working hard on a side gig, you're expecting that eventually it'll replace your day job. Remember why you started and what your end objective is when things are difficult and you want to give up. You need to devote more time to growing your side business when it begins to gain traction. You'll eventually reach a point where you need to inquire about reducing your hours with your full-time job or even go full-time with your side hustle once it starts to make the same level of income as you were making with your full-time job, or surpassing it. You'll need to be prepared that a successful side hustle can become your full-time job. While desiring to immediately start your own business, it pays to focus on the next step slowly. Stay focused on achieving your targets, but take small steps to reach it. Leaving your job will be more difficult than asking for it back. The idea of having a side hustle is becoming more and more popular. According to a study done by Bankrate in 2017, nearly 1 in 4 Americans have a side hustle. The top reason for having a side hustle are to make extra money and to gain new skills. While having a side hustle can be a great way to achieve your goals, it's important to remember that it's also important to take time for yourself. If you're constantly working on your side hustle, you'll eventually burn out and won't be able to accomplish anything. In conclusion, it's possible to balance a full-time job and a side hustle without burnout if you take some precautions. Set realistic goals, create a schedule, and make time for yourself. Most importantly, don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. If you enjoyed today's video and have not already subscribed to the channel, then do it now so you don't miss our entrepreneurial content with new videos added weekly. If you hit the like button, that really helps this channel get found by other viewers on YouTube. Until the next one, have a great day, guys.